Our church's book discussion group is currently reading a novel called Orphan Train, which was on the New York Times bestseller list for more than 90 weeks. The book opens up with the following words: I believe in ghosts. They're the ones who haunt us, the ones who left us behind. Many times in my life, I have felt them around me, observing, witnessing, when no one in the living world knew or cared what happened. Sometimes these spirits have been more real to me than people, more real than God. They fill silence with their weight, dense and warm like bread dough rising under cloth. My Gram, with her kind eyes and talcum-dusted skin. My Da, sober, laughing. My Mom, singing a tune. The bitterness and alcohol and depression are stripped away from these phantom incarnations, and they console and protect me in death as they never did in life. I've come to think that's what heaven is. A place in the memory of others where our best selves live on. I thought about these words as I sat with and considered this morning's text from the book of Hebrews, which reminds us that we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. It's a pleasant thought, and I'd like to think that it might be true. That everywhere we go, we are surrounded, engulfed by the spirits of those who have gone before us from this earthly existence we call life. Surrounded in a way much like the video we saw earlier, where a cloud of butterflies flickered and fluttered around the two young girls, kissing them on the cheeks and brushing up against them, tickling them and bringing smiles to their faces. I'd like to think there is that potential for connection with the saints in our lives, a potential for evoking from us a smile and even laughter if we were only aware of their presence. I think butterflies are a fitting metaphor for these saints who have touched our lives for a couple reasons. One of them being their transience, the briefness of their existence. It's said that the average lifespan of a butterfly is about a month, with the smallest butterflies that you may spot feasting on the flowers in your front yard living only about 1 week. A week. Can you imagine? Just 7 days to explore the miracles and mysteries of the universe. Just 7 days to eat, rest, love, and leave its mark on the world. We wonder at the brevity of the lives of these delightful creations of God, even as we do the same with our loved ones who have died. We wonder and ponder the puzzle of it. We flail against the unjustness of it. We accuse God of cruelty, for surely a kind and loving God would allow us more time with such a beautiful soul than the brief days that have been allotted to us. Yes, when I think of the brief time we have been given to love, I think of butterflies, whose existence is nothing more than a quick blink of the eye in the grand scheme of things. And yet, in that brief moment, they still impact our lives. And that brings me to another reason why I think butterflies are an appropriate metaphor for the saints who have touched us, something known as the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect is the concept that small causes can have large effects. In the 1960s, a man named Edward Lorenz came up with the idea that the details of a hurricane, such as the exact time of its formation or its exact path, those details are influenced by very, very small agitations, small as the seemingly insignificant flapping of the wings of a distant butterfly several weeks earlier. And it's true, isn't it? The butterfly, whose lifespan may be no more than a week or two, taking a break on a flower petal, offers a Kodak moment for a budding young photographer who later goes on to make her profession in film and photography. Or the male butterfly in the throes of the courtship ritual, following a female butterfly from leaf to leaf, catches the eye of a passerby who pauses and smiles at the sight, letting go of the day's stress and freeing him to notice and appreciate the stranger on the subway who will one day become his spouse. The butterfly effect. The idea that a single life, no matter how seemingly insignificant, can impact the universe. Each of us here can attest to that fact. We can confirm that there are people who have had impacts on us in ways they might never have imagined. And we in turn are having an impact on every person we encounter. Sometimes in negative ways, but hopefully more often in positive ways. Whether you know it or not, you are surrounded, enveloped, hugged by a great cloud of witnesses who have come before you, witnesses who will accompany us on our pilgrimage, our sacred journey we call life, a journey that is not made alone, but rather one we take together in community, in communion with those who gather here today, in communion with all who have shaped our lives. We have felt the brush of their butterfly wings. And if you try, you can still feel those gentle touches on your life. So it's my hope that you will take this time together today to open yourself to those touches, those memories, those recollections of beautiful people whose lives have impacted you. There is no substitute for being able to hold the person, laugh with them, and cry with them. But you can always love them. You can always be grateful for the impact they had on you. And if you try, you can always feel their presence. Death will never steal that from you. On the altar is a basket that is filled with different colored paper butterflies. When you come forward later in the worship service to receive communion, you're invited to take a butterfly and lift up the name of someone, either aloud or silently. A saint who has had an impact on your own life, someone whose presence has shaped you. Take a moment to remember them. Give thanks for the brief time you had with that person. And then hang that butterfly on the branches that are in front of the altar. And let the butterfly tree remind you of the presence of the company of heaven who join us each week when we feast on the bread and the cup. But before leaving the altar, you're invited to take another butterfly home with you, to keep or to give to another as a reminder that we are the saints of the living, whose action and words shape others and the world in which we live. Or you may take it home, soak it in water overnight, and then plant it in a thin layer of soil. You see, the butterflies are embedded with wildflower seeds. And if you water them each day with a little bit of luck, those seeds might give rise to some beautiful wildflowers in a few weeks to remind you of the resurrection into new life of those who have gone before us. This morning's first reading from the Wisdom of Solomon assures us that new life is one of peace and one which is held in the hand of God. And so, in closing, for those today who grieve the loss of loved ones, please know your grief is valid. It's not wrong to be sad and to shed tears. We should not paste across our faces a smiley face when our heart is breaking. We must grieve. It's normal and it's healthy. But know that grief is not the sad time that you push through to get to the other side. There is no pushing through. There is absorption, adjustment, and hopefully in time, acceptance. Grief is not something you complete. It's not a task to finish and move on, but an element of yourself, an alteration of your being, a new way of seeing, and a new definition of self. So grieve your loss and allow it to transform you into a better person. Allow the impact of that person's life on you to make you into a better human being. And the next time you see a butterfly, think on the possibility that that butterfly just might be the spirit of your loved one, come to remind you that though there is death, it does not have the final say. Instead, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of thing shall be well. Amen.